Welcome to Oops Palsy Podcast, the podcast where we discuss the realities of what it's like to live with cerebral palsy. So, let's talk about it. So, if you're here today, if you're watching this video, you're either new to cerebral palsy, you have a kid with cerebral palsy, you're a caregiver, you have cerebral palsy, and you just have a bunch of questions. So, you're probably wondering what cerebral palsy. Well, we're going to talk about it. I'm going to let my co-host take it away on this because I am so dry when I try to explain stuff like this. Ty, go ahead and take it away and explain all the dry, fun stuff.
Okay, greetings. So it's easier just to read a wiki on us, even though we live us. But here's one of my advanced skills because moving isn't one of them. From the Mayo Clinic, cerebral palsy. Cerebral palsy is a group of conditions that affect movement and posture. It's caused by damage that occurs to the developing brain, most often before birth. Symptoms appear during infancy or preschool years and vary from very mild to serious. Children with cerebral palsy may have exaggerated reflexes. The arms, legs, and trunk may appear floppy, or they may have stiff muscles known as spasticity. Symptoms can also include irregular posture, movements that can't be controlled, a walk that's not steady, or some combination of these. Cerebral palsy may make it hard to swallow. It can cause eye imbalances in which the eye doesn't focus on the same object. People with the conditions may have reduced range of motion in their joints due to muscle stiffness. The cause of cerebral palsy and its effects on function vary from person to person. Some people with cerebral palsy can walk while others need assistance. Some have intellectual disabilities, but others do not. Epilepsy, blindness, or deafness also might affect some people with cerebral palsy. There is no cure, but treatment can improve function. The symptoms of cerebral palsy may vary during the child's development, but the conditions doesn't get worse. The conditions generally stay the same over time. What's your input?
So, what type of cerebral palsy do you have, Ty?
I have.
And you know we're getting old when you got to think about it.
It's like it's not bipolar. Oh my god, when I have to think about it, it's mild spastic diplegia. Okay, let's look this up. Cerebral palsy. Like, oh my god, I say this thing so much. Okay, there we go. Dysentic, ataxic. Okay, so this is an interesting one. We move on to types of cerebral palsy. Cerebral palsy is a group of disorders affecting movement and posture, categorized in forming types: spastic, dyskinetic, ataxic, and mixed. Spastic CP, which is what I have, only lower half of my body. The hands, apparently. The most common involves stiff muscles and exaggerated reflexes, while dyskinetic CP causes uncontrolled involuntary movements. Ataxic CP affects balance and coordination, and mixed CP exhibits characteristics of multiple types. Honestly, it feels like mixed because I have some of these. But yeah,
Do you know what your official diagnosis was? Because mine
official
was
was
spastic.
mild spastic diplegia, which is okay. There we go, diplegia. Okay, it's yeah. So like half my limbs. Diplegia is like half the body, right?
No, it's I think that it just mainly affects your legs because I have mild
Mainly,
spastic diplegia.
but
Yeah.
it's not like my hands don't.
Yeah, no, I still do the whole Reptar, T-Rex hand thing, and I still have if I don't focus on something when I'm holding it and I go to hand it to somebody, I will spill it all over them.
Oh,
I have to
fucking
focus on holding it so I don't.
pictures. People take pictures. I have to focus. My hands don't end up like a raptor hand where the
Oh
wing
yeah,
is tucked underneath in the pre-wing of
the
a raptor. Yeah, I gotta force it
fun
out so I look like I'm normal standing instead of
yeah, yeah. I don't have that a whole lot. I mainly get that when I'm tired though. So if I'm tired, my hand will just do this thing where it comes up to my chest and I'm doing this and I'm like
ugh.
it's mainly when I'm tired, if I exert a lot of energy by cleaning or whatever, or if it's really late, then I'll get that. And thankfully I don't have it a lot, but it is very annoying. And yeah, so I have spastic diplegia, cerebral palsy. It mainly affects my legs. As of right now, I don't require mobility aids. I don't want to say lucky in that aspect, but it's one of those things where I'm probably going to need them at some point. I won't be surprised if I need a hip replacement in the next 5-10 years or something like
A
that.
knee replacement for me, smashed my knees so many times falling. And then just the
Yeah.
walking gait really emphasizes too much on my cartilage in my knees, inflamed
Yes.
a lot. Just I have to hike a lot, or if I don't do something like that. I had two knee hinges, but I broke all the springs. So I'm trying to find a way to order more springs to just fit them inside instead of having to buy a whole new knee brace, which is $85.
Man. Yeah, no. And I will use, like, when I did my 8th grade trip to Washington, D.C., I did use a wheelchair for that because there was a fuck ton of walking. And one thing that really sucked about that is, like, the classmates who saw me walking on a regular basis were like, what the fuck? And I had to keep explaining to them that, like, yes, I don't use it on a regular basis when I'm in school, but we're walking like 5 miles a freaking day here. Like, give me a like, I'm
I took
sorry.
pride in like getting on my wheelchair at work in front of new people. And they'd be like, "What? You could stand?" I'm like, "Yeah, not every blind person's fully blind, guys."
Oh my gosh. Yeah. But yeah, so very commonly we deal with there are very common medical issues with cerebral palsy. One of those is chronic pain. I myself have went on an interesting journey with that. I'm currently out of work at the moment because of how bad my chronic pain is getting. I can't sit for very long. I have to readjust constantly kind of thing. And it's kind of put a damper on my work stuff. But what I deal with is basically like I want to say it's like almost like arthritis pain, but I'll get like burning. Right now, I'm seeing a rheumatologist and they're thinking that it's likely fibromyalgia. And then on top of that typical pain that I've kind of dealt with all my life, on top of that, I also have cervical spinal stenosis. So I get nerve pain in my neck and it goes throughout my arms. I'm a mess. I am a mess.
I honestly, okay, so one of the things that for me is even though as much as I know about cerebral palsy and I literally live it and all that stuff like that, sometimes like I don't know how to explain things correctly and the doctors like don't know. So like I slipped my arm once. Now there's like a pinched nerve in here and I've really had to literally do like
Oh my
look
God.
up therapy for my own arm because I try to explain it to the doctor and they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Well, my arm falls asleep wrong angle," or every time I rotate it, it hurts at one nerve point, and then it affects how I angle. And because of my palsy, I
Yeah,
stiffen up, and then
it's a mess.
yeah, and I'm like I think I have symptoms that are just like going on because I don't know how to describe it to a doctor, and I think I'm just tough. I'll just tough it out.
Right. Right. And some things can be very odd to explain to a doctor because, like, one thing I dealt with so how I found out about the cervical spinal stenosis is I had an episode where I was trying to sleep and I couldn't sleep and I was tossing and turning all night. It didn't matter if I put like a pillow under my head or if I used a blanket or whatever. Nothing. It just, every way that I laid, it felt like my neck was trying to break. Now, I get stiff necks as part of the cerebral palsy. I've always gotten them like at least once, twice a year kind of thing. So I didn't think anything of it. And then about 7:30, I started losing feeling and like 7:30 in the morning, I started losing feeling in the left side of my face and my arm. And then that ended up being a fun 2 days in the hospital, thinking that I might be having a stroke. And they couldn't tell because cerebral palsy is basically a stroke at birth. So I had to go through a bunch of testing and I'm like, the entire time, I'm like, my brain is melting. Somebody help me. And, but the way I'm describing, like, the pain and stuff that I deal with, like that nerve pain, I would have like what felt like electric zaps going up my back and down my arms. And that's the only way I could think to explain it. And I go back through my chart and they're like, patient is hallucinating. I was trying to just explain what the pain felt like. What do you mean? And yeah, it was a weird 2 day stay in the hospital. Um, and they ended up doing first time I've seen a neurologist since I was a kid. The neurologist comes in the hospital and she's like, "You have a beautiful brain," and I'm like, "Thanks."
You're gonna dissect
Is
me?
that I've never been told I have a beautiful brain, but I mean, I'll take the compliment, I guess. I guess that is a compliment coming from a neurologist, like, "Hey, your brain's not Swiss cheese right now."
At least her name's like Dr. Frankenstein.
Oh my god.
The master says you have a beautiful brain.
But the ways that I deal with the chronic pain that I find help the most, hot tubs are a godsend. Whoever invented hot tubs, I hope their family is doing extremely financially well because hot tubs are a godsend.
And you started boiling from below the neck or just up to like the attachment to the
Yeah.
skull.
Yeah, just
Just
yeah.
suspend me in a water solution and just lightly boil me. I'll be fine.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. And I do that like we don't have a hot tub unfortunately because they're stupid expensive. But and I don't trust those like inflatable ones you can get on Amazon. I'm like a rock is gonna get too close to it or a twig's gonna poke it and it's gonna deflate. and then I'm out
Almost like it's
600
putting it
back.
away and then cleaning out all the moisture that's inside and then the mold that builds up. And then
Yeah,
trying to dewater, deflate, and then roll up a giant plastic sheeting that's with thick plastic. Yeah,
yeah,
not exactly
yeah,
easy with palsy.
yeah. I mean, it can be done. It just might take a few hours.
Yeah,
I
which is
hate
why.
oh my God, whenever I go to do any project, like any physical project, um, it either takes me forever or I just get to the point where I'm like, screw this, and I'm done with it. I don't want to like deal with it. But yeah, that's and then another thing that helps is like I like to use heating pads and heated blankets. Any type of heat is fantastic. I've also recently gotten back into physical therapy because my balance was starting to do worse as it does for most people that age. But while the brain damage of cerebral palsy does not progress, the disorder itself does not progress because people with cerebral palsy, we typically use 2 to 5 times more energy doing the same task as our able-bodied peers. So we feel that wear and tear a lot quicker. And I'll be curious as to what studies and stuff might come out later because I'm interested to see that. But I feel like I'm 80. Like half the time I feel like I'm in the 60 to 80. Like because I
Like,
went walking down a hill the other day and I couldn't move the next day.
so in Fort McMurray in Canada, where I live, Cerebral Palsy Association, and my physiotherapist was head of the local association, like credentials, basically. What she explained to me, Miss Sandy Boats, was my life
Is
would
her
be. Her name is Sandy
is her
Boats. Yeah,
really?
yeah. Her son was
I
like
love
full quadriplegic palsy.
I love that name.
Yeah, and we had like a steamboat in the river and everything type of city. Old Fort Murray. It's an oil town now, but it was an old a fur trading post while back. But anyways, yeah. So my entire life would be energy management. That's going to be. And once I got that idea into my head, then like guilt of like, oh God, I can't finish one project during a day. Well, yeah, you can't garden the whole garden like an able person and not expect your back to be put out. You got to sit on a stool
Yeah.
to weed. You gotta, if I want to do a building project, I go, that's a building project for today. Then I rest and I game and I take a nap, right? Or it's like I got my kids for the day. Well, I can't fit that project in because running after a toddler is all my energy.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, especially with children, like I mean, it's hard for able-bodied parents. I imagine it would be more difficult for those of us that deal with chronic fatigue and chronic pain and like the strain that cerebral palsy puts on our body. And I don't know about you, but I get mentally fatigued a lot too. Like I'll go to do something and then I'm ready for a nap.
One
I feel like
feeds
I
the
get
other, right?
more yeah, yeah. But yeah, I don't have kids, so I can't really say much on the parent side of things. So at least you'll be able to help out with that side of things because I
Yeah,
am
because it's like it's a difference of mind. It's like, do you want like, the biological heir to have children? Especially if you love raising kids. And then do I have enough energy to be a good mental parent when my own life frustrates me just getting up and down the stairs if I got a cold? So it's like a
right.
mixture of that. A village helps, but like, yeah,
How's your
someday.
I was gonna ask how's your support system?
Well, I live with my brother and my sister-in-law. It's a mixed bag because, like, my brother's like, I'm helping support you. And I'm like, you couldn't live here without part of my rent for my age. And you get tax breaks by having me live in the house. Like, I might carry my own weight just by existing. And that's my brother who loves me, right?
Right.
But then, like, obviously, I have a girlfriend who treats me like I'm normal because I could get, because I don't know. Oh my God. I don't know. Something about like little ladies that run day homes that like accept everybody, right? And, get me out of my body dysmorphia about like having palsy and her being like actually like a positive person that's attracted to me, like kind of like gets rid
Helps
of my
build that
negative.
confidence up. Yeah.
Yeah, it gets rid of my negative feedback, right? Where like I just look in the mirror and I
Right.
see my palsy and whatever. And then like I have friends who, so the uncle of the baby I'm holding right now, like the actual uncle, even though I'm like Uncle Ty, but yeah, his uncle, actually has my like cerebral palsy a parking handicap pass in his truck and his Jeep because he drives me most places and just has me call him so he can drive me. And then the mother of the baby can like park close to a supermarket, right? And most of the time I walk with my scooter or I drag a wagon, and I go get groceries by myself and stuff like that, which is like a whole day
Yeah.
trip because, you get home, you
Yeah.
put groceries away, you pass out on the couch, and, hopefully the toddler doesn't get into anything too messy.
That just sounds so hectic. Like for me, my partner is pretty good about driving me around, like pretty much whenever I need to, because I also don't drive. A lot of that is anxiety, and a lot of that is it's mainly anxiety, but it's also the spatial awareness, and that they feed into each other. And it's like, yeah, so it's like I don't drive either. My partner's pretty good about like taking me wherever I need to go and stuff, which is great because, not everybody is good with that stuff. And I know it gets exhausting having to be the one to like drive around and do all the mental labor of like handling that.
As my brother likes to say, but like then I'm like I've lived on my own without a car for so long. If I need you, I'll tell you, but you can't get complain about me about driving me everywhere because I never asked for you to drive. You offer, and
Yeah.
if you can't, then I'll find a way because I've lived by myself with palsy for years.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that there's stuff like Uber and things like that now.
Uber's nice.
Because back when I was younger, there just was not. It was like you're either walking, hopefully you're close to the store that you need to go to, or, find somebody that can give you a ride. Um, and like another common thing that another medical issue that we typically deal with cerebral palsy is sleep issues. And that's what I find the most fascinating when you're looking at questions that get asked online in regards to cerebral palsy and sleep issues, like your child not falling asleep or staying asleep for very long. Yeah, that's a totally normal. Sleep issues are totally normal. I used to have to take Benadryl almost every night to go to sleep. Full medical disclaimer, anything that we advise on here, please talk to your doctor. We're not doctors. Don't hurt your kids or yourself. Talk to your doctor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, okay, well, obviously, medical advice from people online. Check with the doctor first. Right. Melatonin. You cannot give a person with palsy, especially a child, melatonin. Spasticity of our muscles is so great that if you give us a relaxant, it's possible that, especially as a newborn or baby, we can relax so hard that we'll stop breathing. That
Really? I've never had that.
I encountered it when my friend gave me like a Jamaican like calming drink and had melatonin in it. On the back of it, it said, "Caution: people with cerebral palsy and pregnant mothers should not be drinking this due to the
Really?
melatonin relaxation." And I looked it up, and it relaxes us too much.
Wow, that's interesting. 'Cause I've never had that with just taking melatonin, but again, I didn't start taking melatonin until I was an adult.
Yeah, and that's like with SIDS. With SIDS, it's like a genetic marker. Hi. It's a genetic marker that a lot of babies who have it, it's just like there's one gene broken in the automatic response for breathing. And like it kind of like gets over it once you get a certain age, your brain gets a certain size because then you start breathing, right? But when you're newborn, there's not that much muscle experience exercising, so they'll just stop breathing. And and SIDS. Same thing
That's
with melatonin.
God, that is terrifying. Yeah, I've never really had that issue with melatonin, but a while back for my nerve pain, I was taking baclofen, which is a muscle relaxer, and gabapentin. And I'd been taking it for like months. And then was at a Christmas party and I took 300 milligrams of gabapentin and then I took I think it was 25 milligrams of baclofen. And I gave it like an hour, was still hurting. It's at a Christmas party. I'm trying to keep my energy up and everything, and be all cheery and not be in pain. So I gave it about an hour or so. I'm still hurting. It's still not doing anything. And so I took another dose of it, another 300 milligrams of gabapentin, and another 25 of baclofen. Well, I was feeling fine and everything. And by the time I left my dad's Christmas party, my dad dropped me off and everything. I talked to my dad for like 40 minutes in the driveway after the Christmas party. So this had been like an hour ish or so that I had taken the second dose or whatever. And I don't know if it just didn't metabolize and I took it too close together or if it's like a weird interaction. But I ended up like I laid down and took a nap on the couch and I woke up to my partner shaking me because he said that I had stopped breathing. Like he said, like I did the whole like where you breathe in and because your body's trying to breathe, and and he like shook my leg. Now I'm a light sleeper. He like shook my leg and I wasn't responding. He yelled at me. I wasn't responding. He did the sternum rub and I didn't respond. So he was like 2 seconds away from like calling the squad when I opened
That's
my
like you
eyes.
creep Babe and just slap him across the face.
Oh my God.
What the?
No, no, he what was crazy is he woke me up and he's like shaking my shoulder and he's like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I'm taking a nap. What is?" And he's like, "Cause to me, I'm like, I'm just sleeping." And yeah, um, so that was interesting. I did talk to my doctor about that. I'm no longer on that medication combo. I strongly advise
Other
talking to
sleep.
your doctor whenever you have like any adverse effects or anything. And then, so how often would you say that you have sleep issues? Cause I
It depends. When I'm totally exhausted, like I'm totally exhausted, I'm out, right? But then also like one thing keeps me up is I wake up and I feel like my neck, my body, trying to get the right position, mostly just stiffness. I can't get to sleep because I'm just way too stiff. It
yeah,
helps when like there's relaxing things, like my girlfriend pressed up against me or whatever. Like I was telling her, like, I like being crushed. Well, it's because like it relaxes my body muscles out, right? And the heat, the pressure and the heat, and that helps me relax out. I have a massaging chair, like seat attachment for like taxi drivers or whatever. That goes to my gaming chair in my room, so I can massage myself, get massaged before bed and stuff like that. I need to do stretching, but that's painful.
yeah,
But yeah, mostly it's just like my body is so tight in certain areas, like I have to twist and turn, twist and turn, twist and turn, and then I'll pass out eventually. I had to psychologically do things like sleep sounds and other things like that. Smoking weed and stuff like that before bed or certain times. And, other things, girlfriend helps out, whatever, falls asleep. But by myself and I'm not exhausted, I'll like stay awake wondering what my neck hurts and stuff like that.
right. Yeah, now I have to listen to like the little like rain sound videos on YouTube and stuff like that. And I found in the past that one thing that does help me with my sleep issues is if I go to the gym like an hour before I go to bed and I just like exhaust the crap out of my body. Like
Mhm.
that typically helps me fall asleep a lot faster. But, and that kind of plays into like one of the main things is like we need to stay more active with cerebral palsy because it helps prevent you from getting worse and getting more stiff and dealing with all of that fun stuff. But yeah, chronic sleep issues are very common. And another common thing is mental health. This is going to be a fun topic. If you or a loved one do need help, there are resources. There's crisis lines that you can call. There's online therapies. There's a number of things. So if you or a loved one do need help, reach out, look up your resources. Don't be afraid to ask for help. It's okay.
The most regular parts of that I've encountered is one, parents who do not know how their children are going to act, what their future is going to be, even
Right.
how they feel because they are not articulate enough or they're nonverbal. So it's the parents are struggling. It's like, am I helping them? Am I not? One lady, her ward was hitting puberty and become much more, you know, bad of in the way she
Dealing with
was.
that teenage angst.
Well, yeah, it also was like she was mostly bedbound, right? And she would get her in her
Right.
chair and out again. And this is like someone who is quotations worse than me, right? So there's a bit more
Right.
frustration there, and I've countered that. But anyways, so she would get belligerent and try to dress her and stuff like that. And me, having cerebral palsy, even though I'm verbal and I can somewhat mobile, I understood where she's coming from. And it's a period where you realize you're different. And I'm like, she doesn't have any choice. She has no choices. She's in a period of her mental state as a teenager because she's mentally acute that she gets to make choices and she can't and she's lashing out. So start giving her choices. So she
Yeah.
started doing like give her a choice what she wants to eat for breakfast, type of cereal. She lays out clothes and asks her to pick her clothes with a or whatever vocalization she can use.
Yeah, like they're able to at least make some noise or some gesture. You can communicate.
Yeah.
It just
If
takes a
they're
little
there,
practice
they're
and
there. They're
yeah,
just trapped in the body. But instantly
yeah,
her behavior was better. Her mental health was better
yeah.
because
And it's that, yeah. And what I would say one of the most frustrating things with disability, and this disability especially, is the having the ability to make our own choices and have that level of independence that our able-bodied peers would have. And I think that's definitely harder, and I know that parents will tend to struggle a lot mentally as well, and that's perfectly fine. You're not a bad parent because you're struggling because you don't know how to take care of your kid or what the best way to handle something is, or for having anxiety about their future. And I would say, having those questions, having anxiety about their future, having questions about how to properly take care of them, that makes you a good parent, not a bad parent. But, that said, parents need help too. So don't be afraid to like reach out for support. There's plenty of groups on Facebook, on Reddit that will give you that support. It is hard. It's hard raising a child with a disability. It's hard having said disability. And I don't think that it's fair to kind of I don't think that it's fair to put the spotlight on one and not the other, or act like parents don't have the right to have issues and frustrations and concerns. Nobody wishes a disability on their child. Nobody does.
Nobody.
Nobody with a disability wants a disability. I think one of the frustrating things for most parents is the constant concern, that constant worrying, that constant, because there's no way you're not a parent of someone with a disability and you're not highly critical of everything you do, like to a degree that other parents aren't. I can't imagine how difficult, that would be. But at the same time, like learning how to communicate really goes a long way. Like you said, discussing choices and giving someone a choice, even though they may not be verbal, they may not be able to speak, but at least kind of working around that so you can discover, how to communicate with them really goes a very long way.
Makes them feel seen and a little bit master of their own destiny.
Right, right. And then another thing on mental health, a very common question that I see on is people being confused about their mental health and wondering if that's from the cerebral palsy. Yes, it is. It's from the cerebral palsy. Okay, guys, it's brain damage. It is damage in the motor cortex. It's because of that brain damage, the emotional regulation is a lot more difficult for people with cerebral palsy. I myself have been diagnosed with ADHD and bipolar 2. The therapist that I saw, get this, the therapist that I saw to diagnose me with the ADHD, when I was talking to him about everything, like I was talking to him and I was like, hey, I have cerebral palsy. Do you know what that is? And he's like, yeah, I'm somewhat familiar. I explained to him what it is. And I was like, do you think that could be impacting my mental health at all? And he's like, no. And I'm like, what? And he was fresh out of school, to be fair to him, and limited experience. But when you look at people with traumatic brain injuries, they also have higher rates of depression, anxiety, PTSD. Like it could be a number of things. Finding the tools to help with the regulation and the having the support structure to handle your mental health goes a long way. I myself, I have a pretty decent support system. My partner's here to talk to whenever I need to talk to him. I can always call my dad or my brother or my best friend. And having that support system really does make a difference, but I still struggle with those things on a daily basis. For myself, and this might help other people, but what I recommend for the emotional regulation side of it is to you kind of have to sit down and talk to yourself about why you're upset, who you're like, why am I upset? Am I upset at myself or someone else? Like, and kind of walk yourself through those feelings. And then meditation helps. Doing stuff that you love that's going to take your mind off of stuff helps. Like if you love crafting or fishing or whatever hobby you like, that stuff helps as well. What do you find that helps you most with the like whole emotional regulation thing and whole mental health side of it?
For one, learning with about toddlers makes it a bit easier because you understand things like, your brain is a wet salt based organ. Organs get damaged, organs get sick, and just because it's your mental scape doesn't mean any different. Hello, yes. So things like, you're discussing about things like, why you feel this way. Well, why do I hate certain sports? Why do I hate, certain opinions about bicycles and things like, oh, it's because I have this kind of resentment of not being able to do those things or being able to run like the other kids and stuff like that. Yeah. And then I started finding things. Yeah. I'm trying to talk. And then, oh, really? Then things like I can do, like, oh my God, I can sit down and I can hold babies for hours and talk to them and stuff like that. And that's a skill other people need because, oh my God, I'm their support. They can take a nap for a little bit. Sports things, I can be a referee. I can put the equipment out. I can involve myself in other ways of sports and help the people doing the sports. I can be a support system. Like wrestling, I was the mascot because I was the most improved member who's like literally was doing special matches, wrestling and stuff like that because it inspired other people, which is a thing I could do. Mental health and stuff like that. Just enjoying the little things you can do. You can sit and you can draw something, you can write something, you can dictate something, you can cook something, find small joys in it. I for like caught bugs because bugs didn't run away from me as much as like the other kids and the bikes did. And now I'm like enjoy bugs in jars and other things like that. I put peanut butter on my toast and different type of seeds I buy once in a while because food is a different pleasure that you can have. You just add cheap things to a combination and you'll have variance, and variance is
Right.
pleasure of life.
Yeah, just kind of doing like a variety of things definitely helps. I was in martial arts for a little while. I wasn't super awesome at it. And of course, I'm like slower than the other people doing the martial arts. But yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, no, it's definitely a journey trying to figure things out. And what I'm hoping to get from this podcast is to kind of help people have a voice and discuss the stuff that they have issues with and have questions about. So, it's a lot. Next episode is episode 2. Uh feel free to watch that episode as well. Episode 2 is going to be our question and answer, where we pull random questions from the internet and answer them. So that should be a lot of fun. If you want to watch that, please feel free to join us. And if you enjoy this content, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, do the thing, follow us on social media, internet, do your internet thing.
Subscribe, enjoy.
Right.